Financial exploitation costs older adults billions of dollars every year. To protect your loved ones, be aware of 3 ways that they may be at risk. Are they trusting by nature? Elder financial abuse can be committed by a stranger, but it's more often committed by someone they know and trust, including family members. Do they feel insecure about their money skills? Older adults who aren't confident in how they manage their finances might turn to someone who can help them. This can lead to exploitation. If possible, help your loved one find a trusted financial advisor or someone who will put his or her interests first. Fear of being judged can prevent victims from admitting it's happening and can put them at future risk. It's important to understand that victims have done nothing wrong and to convey that to your loved one. For more scam tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Hello, my name is Teresa Jones. I am one of the Associate State Directors of Advocacy and Outreach for the Illinois State Office. I want to welcome you to this virtual event with AARP featuring honored guest Seth Bofelli, AARP Advisor of Fraud Prevention Programs. Thank you all for joining us today and participating in this statewide virtual event to discuss trending frauds and scams and how to protect yourself and loved ones. AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization. AARP is in your corner. We're fighting issues that matter to you and your family. We work together to strengthen communities and advocate for families with a focus on health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. As your wise friend and fierce defender, we are advocating for the most impactful issues and policies that improve the financial standing of adults 50 plus and their families in the state. This event is part of AARP Illinois Make Illinois Affordable campaign, an education, outreach, and advocacy effort meant to address pocketbook issues that Illinoisans deal with daily that directly impact all of our financial health and quality of life. Through this effort, AARP Illinois is working on issues such as, but not limited to, helping you better manage Illinois high property taxes, lower prescription drug prices, expand access to home and community-based services rather than much more costly nursing home care, and fighting unnecessary utility rate hikes on your utility bills. This event officially launches a financial education series of events to help introduce you to the tools and resources available to you and save even more money. We realize all consumers have concerns regarding property taxes, debt management, and financial planning, emergency savings accounts, retirement savings, Social Security benefit planning, and in today's case, fraud. Today, we will bring you a fraud expert from AARP, and in upcoming events, we will continue bringing you experts and resources to further help you improve your financial and retirement security. For more information on upcoming events, please keep an eye on our Facebook and Twitter profiles, as well as our website, www.aarp.org/il. Well, okay, let's get started with today's virtual event on senior frauds and scams. We have a lot of great information to share and discuss with you. Criminal scammers use a wide range of scams to convince people to hand over money or sensitive personal information, and it's scary. But today, we are equipping you with the tools and tips to protect yourself and your loved ones. I'm honored to welcome and introduce our guest, Seth Bofelli, AARP Advisor of Fraud Prevention Programs. Welcome.
It's great to be here. You know, this is really an important topic. I think that a lot of times we think that if you're older, you're more susceptible to these scams. And while it is true that older Americans tend to lose more because they have more in savings, the reality is that we're all potential victims. And these criminals are equal opportunity scammers. They're hitting our cell phones, hitting our emails, hitting our text messages every day, and it's very sophisticated, and any one of us could fall victim.
Thank you, Seth. So, what are you seeing across the country and in Illinois primarily when it comes to scams and frauds? Are there specific types of fraud that we should be on the lookout for here in Illinois?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we really have seen the last 2 years, as I like to call it, the perfect storm for criminals, and it's really all fueled by the pandemic. Before the pandemic started in 2019, we saw a historic high in the amount of reported consumer losses. It was about $2 billion. Last year, that loss amount tripled to $6 billion. And a lot of it is fueled by the pandemic, by people being home more, isolated more, shopping online more. In a lot of ways, we are more susceptible. But one thing that really kind of fueled that growth is a huge rise in identity theft. And we saw that specifically in Illinois. Illinois was actually the third highest state in terms of the number of ID theft reports last year. But let's look at that number, that pre-pandemic number. Illinois consumers lost about $55 million in 2019 in Illinois. 2 years later, that number jumped to about $129 million. So Illinois saw that big jump. It didn't quite triple like it did nationally, but Illinois, you did more than double the number of consumer losses, and it really was driven by ID theft. There were almost 100,000 more identity theft reports in 2021 in the state of Illinois than there were in 2019.
Wow. Well, speaking on Illinois, are there specific cities that are being hit harder by fraud than others?
Yeah, it really is, like I said before, equal opportunity. We see it sort of upstate and downstate. And I'll just give you a list. The Federal Trade Commission listed some of the top metropolitan markets for identity theft complaints. And Illinois had 8 out of the top 30. So Chicago was 9th, Springfield was 13th, Kankakee 16th, Bloomington 17th, Rockford 18th, Decatur 21st, Champaign-Urbana 25th, and Peoria 29th. So as you can see on these maps, the colored dots kind of show the intensity of the complaint, the fraud complaints, and you really see almost no matter what corner of the state you're living in, identity theft was a big issue last year.
Can you tell listeners why the pandemic, why it made things so much worse?
Yeah, I think there's sort of two things. One is, we saw a big spike in things like online shopping scams, because prior to the pandemic, we might have bought some things over the internet, but during the last 2 years, the internet has kind of become a main shopping tool for a lot of people. So a lot more susceptibility to things like fake ads. During the heart of coronavirus, people were looking everywhere for masks to hand sanitizer. So a lot of fraudulent sales popped up then. We've seen a big spike in romance scams, and that really has to do with people being isolated really for the first time. So many of us were stuck at home. If you had a family, if you had people in your household or in your bubble, that was, you could kind of make it through. But if you were all by yourself, the only really avenue you had for companionship was the internet, and scammers were there lurking with fake profiles. And they started off as a friendship, maybe over something like Words with Friends, and then turned into a romantic relationship, and then very quickly turned into I need money, or I have a great investment opportunity for you. So we really saw those. One of the other things too that really drove especially the identity theft is, there was a lot of money out there. There was stimulus money, there was unemployment money, there was government loan money, and that gets to identity theft, because there's really two types of identity theft. There's, the people the criminals that deceive you into giving up your login information or your password, your social security number. But then there's also a theft that happens with that information that's already out there. For so many of us, I don't know about you, but I think I've had 4 companies buy me free credit monitoring because they lost my personal information. So for so many of us, our information is out there, and criminals don't really use it all the time right away. But then a year like 2021 comes along, and there's stimulus money and there's unemployment money, and what we really saw in Illinois, for all of the fraud complaints last year, about almost half of them were identity theft. And of the identity theft, 65% of them were for government documents or benefit frauds. And that's, hey, I have some social security numbers and addresses for some people in Illinois. I'm going to file an unemployment claim in their name. I'm going to get the money and cash those checks. They'll probably never know about it. Or by the time the government figures it out, I'm long gone. And so that's the other sort of side of identity theft. As an individual, you might have been doing all the safe practices. You might have been doing strong passwords and not, clicking on links. But your information was already out there. So you might have gotten victimized without even knowing it.
That's really sad. And it's scary. So where does one go if they have been victimized by a scam or report a fraud attempt?
Yeah, that's just so important because these numbers we're talking about are sort of eye-opening, but they're really only the tip of the iceberg. Most people that get victimized by these criminals don't report it for a number of reasons. It's hard. A lot of these criminals are overseas, so it's hard to track them down. But the big thing is there's really a feeling of shame, especially for a senior citizen. They don't want, they feel like they were tricked or taken advantage of. They feel like admitting it makes it seem that they're not all there. And there's really a lot of fear and embarrassment, and it shouldn't be that way. These are literally criminal enterprises. They run overseas. They run just like a corporation. There's staff with phone numbers. They have scripts. They have answers. They have, tried and true psychological manipulation tactics that they're going to use against you. And so it's really important that we know the true scope of what's happening, and also that we provide whatever resources. We might not be able to get people's money back, but the recovering from a scam is not just a financial endeavor. It's an emotional endeavor as well, because it really takes a lot out of people. There's a loss of confidence. There's a loss of time that it takes to maybe change your credit card numbers or your bank account numbers. And a great resource that we offer for free for anybody, you don't have to be an AARP member, is our victim support helpline. And that number, you should see it on your screen, but it's 877-908-3360. So if you've experienced a scam and you don't know where to turn, this number can help you. If you want to report it, but you don't know who to report it to, our volunteers that staff this helpline can help you. And you might not have been victimized, but you might have an opportunity on your email or on your text, and you're not sure if it's legitimate or not, and you just want a second opinion. They can help with that too.
Thank you. A criminal scammer, they're seeking to instill fear and an urgent need to act without taking a pause. Now, I know everyone is concerned about identity theft, and we hit on it a little bit, but what are some things we can do to protect ourselves and our personal information?
Yeah, so there's really 5 things we can do, and these actually cover both of those different types of identity fraud that I was talking about. So first, if your information is already out there, and it's actually kind of safe to just assume it is, better safe than sorry. First, checking your credit report. There's 3 credit agencies. You can request a free credit check at least once a year. So doing this 2 or 3 times a year. Annualcreditreport.com is a great site, but getting that credit report, looking to see if anybody's set up any accounts, taken out any loans or credit cards in your name, That's one way to be safe. Number two, monitor your account. So credit monitoring services are helpful. I know I had one. I bought a car recently, and literally within a minute after I clicked submit on the loan application, I got an alert on my phone from my credit monitoring service saying someone just took out a car loan and your name was it you. So they are that effective. And again, as I said before, a lot of times these types of frauds happen and you never even know about them. So checking your credit report and monitoring your accounts is important. Same thing goes for things like Medicare bills. There's a lot of Medicare scams that are out there. And the only time you really know is if you're looking at your Medicare statement when it's coming, credit card statement, looking for charges that you might not have authorized. That's important. And then the other thing we should look out for are some steps that help us from giving up our information mistakenly. And so few ways to do that. The fancy term for this is called two-factor authentication, but it basically just means any website that's going to have your banking information or your credit card, personal information, financial information stored in it, you should have as secure a way to log into that as possible. So first step should be a complex password. And then the second step should be after you enter that password, that website texts you or emails you a one-time code that you then have to enter in order to access that site. So that means if my bank account information is on this website and someone hacks my password, they not only need my password to get in, they need the code that gets texted to my phone. So if they don't have my phone with that code, they can't get into that website. So two-factor authentication means twice as secure. Think about it that way. Next, unique passwords for all accounts. Password managers are a great thing. There's all kinds of them. You can get them in the App Store. Sometimes your phone company might have them, or your bank might have them. But again, it's a app that or a computer software that comes up with unique passwords for all your accounts and stores them for you, so you don't have to remember them all. The mistake that people make is either the passwords are too simplistic, or they use the same password on every website that they do business with. And so that way, if a criminal gets it for one, now they have it for everything and everywhere your information is. And then lastly, and this is important because everywhere we go, like a lot of times the first thing we do when we walk into a store or a restaurant is open up our phone and log on to the Wi-Fi, because we need internet for everything we do these days. Just be careful that if you're on a public Wi-Fi system, that you're not using any of those passwords that are sensitive, or you're not putting in credit card information, banking information, because it's very unsecure in that public Wi-Fi setting.
Wow, that's important, because I don't think many people think about that when they go into a restaurant or a library or wherever they can just jump on their website, But thank you.
Teresa, if you're just looking up the menu, then public Wi-Fi is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna take out your credit card and enter it into your phone and hit submit, then you definitely don't want to be doing something like that over public Wi-Fi. Same thing if you're checking your work email or logging on to some sort of a sensitive website.
Thank you. If you are joining AARP Illinois today, we are honored to have Seth Bofelli, AARP Advisor of Fraud Prevention Programs. We are discussing how to protect yourself from frauds and scams. Now, Seth, you do this work every day. What are the most effective tips that you've seen for staying safe?
Yeah, the thing that's really hard is there are so many criminal scams under the sun, and you feel like you have to stay on top of all of them, and they're all changing, and it really can feel like you're like you're just falling behind no matter how hard you try. We always talk about certain sort of red flags that cut across all of the scams. And one of the ones, I wouldn't call this a magic bullet, but this is maybe as close to one as we can get these days, is the most popular way that scammers are asking for payment is with a gift card. They want you to go to the local Walmart or Target or your convenience store, your grocery store. Literally everywhere we go these days has one of these big colorful kiosks that has every card under the sun. And these cards, you can not only put hundreds of dollars, some of them you can put thousands of dollars on. And so we hear every day through the victim support line from victims who went to a store, bought thousands of dollars in gift cards, immediately scratched off the back and gave the number to the phone to the criminal. And you think, like, who would do that? But it's an important thing to remember, is that I said it before, these criminals are trained psychological manipulators. And when they have you, they call it under the ether. When they have you under the ether, in that place where you're just not processing things the way you normally would, you're either so scared or you're so excited about this opportunity that's being presented to you, you just want to take care of it as fast as possible. And they're literally on the phone coaching you through all the time. And that's where we say, like, if you remember one thing from this conversation, remember that if anybody ever asks you to pay them for an obligation with a gift card, it is a scam. Sort of period, end of story. If that can be the one signal that reaches through the ether, and sort of tickles the back of your brain to say, wait, I heard about this. A gift card is a scam. I'm hanging up. I'm walking away. That's just one really important thing to know. And we're starting to see this happen with Bitcoin now too. People say, well, I don't know. I don't even understand what Bitcoin is. How could I give somebody Bitcoin? Well, at my grocery store, on the way out, there's a machine where I can dump my change into, but I can also put my ATM in there, hold up a QR code to the screen, and send Bitcoin through that machine to the person on the other end of that QR code. So that's sort of the latest thing that scammers are doing, to say, hey, I need you to go to the ATM machine, hold up this code to the machine and put in your ATM, and you can pay me for this puppy or the back taxes or whatever the scam is. They never even have to say Bitcoin, but it's one of those things that we're starting to see that's really alarming, because again, with technology, it's easier to send people money than ever, which means we have to be even more and more diligent than ever to make sure that we actually know who we're sending it to.
Well, Seth, I think you have mentioned this before, but this is some really good stuff to hear again. So where can people turn to if they think they or a loved one has been target of a scam?
Yeah, I'll give you two resources. First is our victim support helpline. And this is kind of for after the scam or in the middle of the scam if you really want to help, you need help or you need guidance. And that number is what you see on your screen there. They can help you out. We talk to a lot of adult children whose parents who have unfortunately gone through this, and they're trying to help figure out what's next, or they're trying to help guide. These romance scams especially can be crippling, because not only is there the shame of acknowledging sort of what's happened to you, but this person is your companion now, and so it's a double loss. It's an emotional loss and a financial loss, and so it can be hard, and our folks can help you out. Another thing is, if you just want to stay up to speed with what's happening, we offer a great service. We call it our Watchdog Alert. It comes every other week. You can get it on your phone, and you can sign up just by texting FWN, so Fraud Watch Network, FWN, to 50757. And every other week, you'll get an alert on a breaking scam right on your phone. So it's a great way to stay up to speed, to stay a step ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I like that. So we're very close to the end of our program, but Seth, do you have any closing words for our listeners today?
Yeah, I think I always try to boil things down to simple, easily to remember things. And I have just 3 words for people: stop, think, and verify. And this really happens when you feel yourself getting caught up in the narrative, when you start to feel that ether descend upon you, either, when you start to feel afraid or you start to feel excited, just remember to stop. Either say, I got to call you back, or I'm going to walk away from the email, or put down my phone that I'm about to click on this link in the text. Stop, take a break, and think about, how plausible is this opportunity? Is this person that's on the other line, am I really my grandchild? Why don't I call my grandchild and make sure that they're okay? And then verify. So a lot of times we'll get an email or a text or an email from Amazon saying, we have a charge for $1,500 for you, Teresa. If you didn't make this charge, click this link. And again, it's trying to get you to think, wait a minute, I'm about to be charged for something I didn't do. I'm going to click this link right away. And what you really need to do is say, I want to verify this, but not through this link that just showed up on my email. I'm going to call my bank or my credit card or Amazon. Go that independent way. Go to the legitimate way. We're in this day and age where you just really can't trust anything. And so going to that and doing your own homework to verify it, independent to any phone number, link that shows up on your device, is really important.
Thank you for that. If you've learned something new today, please share it with your family, your friends, everyone in your network. We know from research that if you know about a specific scam, you're 80% less likely to engage with it. And if you do, you are 40% less likely to lose money to it. So share what you've learned, share your stories of your own encounters with scams, and together we can stop that next target from becoming a scammer's next victim. Thanks so very much to Seth Bofelli of our AARP advisor on fraud prevention programs for answering our questions. And thank you, our AARP members, volunteers, and listeners for participating in this discussion. We do hope that you've learned something new about scams and frauds today. For more information, please contact the AARP Fraud Helpline toll-free at 1-877-908-3360 or go to aarp.org. Thank you and have a good day. This concludes our virtual event.
Pirate is someone who steals newly delivered packages from other people's porches. Here are 4 ways you can keep your deliveries away from these thieves. When you order something online, keep tabs on delivery. Check the shipping company's website or use a free service such as FedEx Delivery Manager or UPS's My Choice that lets you track, hold, or even reroute packages. If you don't think you'll be home to retrieve a package, choose an alternative pickup location. Amazon, FedEx, and UPS have pickup options around the country, including popular retail stores. If you are leaving town, you can ask the U.S. Postal Service to hold your packages and other mail by using its free Hold Mail service. Or you can avoid delivery altogether. If you order from a brick-and-mortar store with a location near you, use ship-to-store or curbside pickup. For more tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.